Okay, I'm glad that I actually did this third test because when I was looking to make the adjustment in the picture adjustment, I realized that the previous two tests were done with the exposure only increased by 3 notches. And I thought it was on 5, but I apparently had left it on 3 after the previous tests with the blue shirt. And that didn't turn out to be good, but we can sort this out. The important thing is that now I know which one is which. The previous two tests for this yellow shirt were set with an exposure of increasing by 3 notches, and this is being set with an increase by 5 notches. Now, I'm going on to talk more than I should because I actually am not trying to say anything meaningful. I'm just trying to fill up the time in order to get a good viewpoint of watching this for a good amount of time to be able to assess the coloration. That's mainly what I'm looking for. The white balance and the other effects, for instance, of the exposure being increased by 3 for the previous two tests and by 5 for this test. And I thought it had been for 5 for the previous, but it was just the opposite. In any case, I'm glad I stayed here and made this test for an increase of 5. Now, this one also is with the manual setting for everything else, meaning that the white balance is changed to the sunlight or daylight, 5600 Kelvin, which it should be something like that. And for this one, I did not change the scene setting at all, went back to full manual. And in the first test here, I had the scene set for portrait, but the second and the third were not set for portrait. The second and the third were not set for portrait. They were set for manual without any change in the possible scenes. There's a number of scenes that you can set. One of them is for portrait, which is supposed to help the distinction between foreground and background. In situations like this, I didn't see that it was particularly helpful, but now that I have 3 tests of that, 1 with and 2 without, I might be able to tell if there's a difference or not. But this one is finally corresponding to the settings for the blue shirt test that seem to work very well. So in other words, well, actually not. This is without the portrait part of that. But we'll be able to test that too, if need be. This one is similar to the blue shirt test in every way except the portrait scene is not selected. It is reverting to manual, which would just be what the camcorder sets itself, not using a preset. I don't know exactly what that does, but in this test, it's not placed in the on position. So what it does is only going to be known by contrasting this with the first test, if there is a contrast. It's not the most important thing I'm looking for, unless it makes a drastic difference. I don't know. But I will take this over to the computer and look at that and try to determine that based on this test. So I think I've got enough footage here to end this here and go on to look at the results.